It's literally a shocking moment in court.
The victim in your case, the ones for money.
You stab until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well.
So everybody gets 30 days for contempt.
I wish I could give you more time than I can because I think you're a cold-blooded killer.
For our next story, we need to warn you. It contains images that may be disturbing for some viewers.
If that judge is listening to us and looking at us, I hope you can sleep at night knowing that you killed her.
We're at a bond hearing in Broward County, Florida, for a disturbing incident involving Judge Marilee Erlich.
Good morning, ma'am.
The defendant is 59-year-old Sandra Twiggs. She's charged with misdemeanor domestic battery against her 18-year-old daughter. Twiggs relies on a wheelchair. She suffers from asthma, diabetes, and pulmonary disease.
I've read the probable cause affidavit. You don't have to respond to each thing, but thank you.
At first, Judge Erlich is cordial toward the defendant. But that doesn't last.
Recent cause.
None.
Excuse me, ma'am, I'm asking my courtroom staff. That's okay. I'll let you know each time I'm talking to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You okay, ma'am?
Yes, I have asthma with COPD and I have a cough today.
Okay. Apparently, she and her adult daughter live in the same home, and they had a verbal altercation about who gets the fan.
The judge reviews the case, but there seems to be some information missing.
I don't know whose house this is. I don't know if she's in a position to evict. Excuse me, don't tell me.
The judge is beginning to show some frustration.
Does your daughter live with you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, don't say anything beyond what I am asking you. Trust me, I am looking. Ma'am. Ma'am. She lives with who?
She lives with me and she lives with my daughter in Miami.
Is that a different location? Excuse me.
The judge's impatience grows.
First of all, attorneys don't interrupt the court. And listen to what the court says because it may answer your questions. Ma'am, do you need water? Just nod your head.
Yes, and I'm breathing treatment.
Ma'am, I'm not here to talk to you about your breathing treatment. Excuse me. Oh, Lord.
It's clear Twiggs is struggling, but the judge just gets increasingly irritated.
See a person begging you for help and trying to talk to you, and you treat them like a dog for what reason?
I'm not going to spend all day with her interrupting me. It's your turn to speak, counsel.
Miss Twiggs, just stay silent for a moment.
Twiggs takes counsel's advice as Judge Erlich tries to finish up the hearing, but it's not enough to avoid Judge Erlich's wrath.
Do you want her to just stay in the home but have no harmful contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
She said they treated me so bad, and she said all I wanted was some medical attention and some help.
Instead of bond, the judge offers Twiggs pretrial release.
Instead of money, do you want to be supervised by pretrial release? Pretrial services. Ma'am, listen. Say it again. You've already said too much. Listen, please.
Once again, the judge berates the already rattled Twiggs.
Say it again. Do you have a microphone? You've already said too much. Listen, please.
She'll need to report to pretrial services before noon tomorrow. Then she has to check in by telephone twice per week.
Ma'am, listen to me. Listen. Don't even say yes. Just listen. Can you hear me? Do you understand me?
An exasperated Judge Erlich seems relieved when the hearing's over But the story does not end there.
Any person viewing that video will see that that was despicable conduct. There is no excuse. Being a judge is a privilege. They are well paid, they are well taken care of, and they have a lot of authority. They are expected, and it's demanded that they treat everyone with respect.
Just 3 days later, Sandra Twiggs passed away in her sleep at home after video of Twiggs's appearance in court was made public. Erlich's treatment of the defendant came under intense scrutiny. Broward Chief Administrator Judge Jack Tudor asked Erlich not to return to work. While he didn't have the power to fire her, 2 days later, Erlich decided to announce an early retirement.
It's literally a shocking moment in court.
Next, we're in La Plata, Maryland, for a jury selection. 25-year-old Delvon King is representing himself today on weapons charges after he was caught carrying a regulated firearm during a traffic stop. Just 3 months earlier, King was appearing at a preliminary hearing for the charges when he fled the courtroom and temporarily eluded police. Because of the fleeing incident, King is required to wear a remote-control stun cuff on his leg while appearing in court. And now, as he reads a prepared argument.
Stop.
There seems to be another problem. At the bench is 72-year-old Robert Nally. The judge retired the previous year, but was called back part-time to hear cases. This hearing got off to a rocky start when King claimed to be a Moorish American, an offshoot of the anti-government sovereign citizen movement, and insisted his true name was not Delvon King. Now, as Judge Nally explains the jury selection process, King continues reading from his prepared argument, which questions the court's jurisdiction over him.
Stop. Mr. Sheriff, do it. Use it.
It felt like fire went through my back.
All right, I'm going to take 5. Don't worry. Calm down, and I'll be back. Yes, sir. 5 minutes.
In case you missed that, after King refuses to stop speaking.
Stop.
Judge Nally orders the courtroom deputy to activate the stun cuff on King's leg.
Mr. Sheriff, do it. Use it.
The deputy calmly approaches King, who doesn't appear to see him, and slides his chair out of the way. While King writhes in pain on the courtroom floor, Judge Nally decides to exit the courtroom and take a short break.
I'm going to take 5. 5 minutes.
Following the brief recess, Judge Nally resumed the hearing and King continued representing himself. He later agreed to probation before judgment, meaning, in his case, he was sentenced to 2 years in jail on the weapons charge, most of which he'd already served, and in return, no actual conviction would be added to his record. The same cannot be said for Judge Robert Nally. After the courtroom video was made public, the Maryland Court of Appeals immediately rescinded Nally's ability to hear cases. He would also later be charged with a misdemeanor civil rights violation, to which he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to a year probation, ordered to take anger management classes, and pay a $5,000 fine.
I regret that it ended this way.
Following his sentence, Robert Nally was banned from the bench for life. Next, we're in Greenup, Kentucky, where court is back in session after bringing in a new year.
Happy New Year to everybody.
That's Judge Robert Conley. He's been on the bench for more than 20 years and appears to be happy to be starting another. First up, a probation revocation hearing.
Michael Ferner.
The defendant, Michael Ferner, owes more than $9,000 in overdue child support to his ex-wife, and according to his ex-wife's lawyer, he's failed to follow his court-ordered payment program.
So he's not making anything in 2019. It just doesn't make any difference. He didn't pay anything in the whole year. Nothing in 2019.
It has been a rough year. I mean, I have 3 boys at home. My wife works full-time. We didn't have a babysitter.
After hearing the defendant's explanation, it's possible Judge Conley could give him a break to start the new year.
Can I ask you a question? What kind of person has 3 kids when you can't even take care of one?
My kids are grown. They're 21 and 19.
But they're living at home.
No, they don't live with their
You said
mom or
you had
anything.
3 kids.
I think I've got 3 little ones.
There's
and
5
wives.
kids. 5 kids. It's over to the client. Judge, order was $238 a month plus $50 to order beverages.
Well, it changes next time we come to court.
You know what? You just need to shut up. The more you talk, the more ridiculous you sound.
And, just like that, the judge's New Year's cheer is out the window.
Send him to jail. Send him to jail. Go talk all you want over there. Okay? Talk all you want over there.
As Michael Ferner is taken into custody, Judge Conley issues a stern directive to everyone in the courtroom.
When I'm talking, you better be listening. I only talk if I'm wanting you to know something. Don't try to talk over me. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. If I'm saying anything, you better be damn listening.
20 minutes later, he calls defendant Gary Willis. Unfortunately for Willis, he's also here today for failing to pay child support.
Willis, how come you aren't paying what you're supposed to pay?
I thought that I was paying. I just missed a court date. I got caught up Thanksgiving and you absolutely forgot.
What am I supposed to do? What does the victim? The victim in your case, the ones are money. I have to answer to them. They say, Judge, he doesn't pay. What are you doing about it, Judge? What are you doing? Do us both a favor and do what you're supposed to do.
That may be a good advice, but it turns out Judge Conley's delivery of the message left something to be desired for the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission. Following the 2 cases, Conley received a public reprimand after an investigation into his, quote, intemperate conduct. Judge Robert Conley ultimately accepted the public reprimand, admitted his behavior was inappropriate, and issued a public apology. This is Camia Gamet, who is charged with the murder of her boyfriend in Jackson, Mississippi. Reportedly, the attack happened during an argument between the 2 individuals and ended with a boyfriend being violently stabbed to death. Gamet was arrested on first-degree murder charges. Throughout the trial, Gamet claimed she acted in self-defense and showed no remorse, even when the victim's family members addressed the court during the sentencing hearing.
Still remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this.
While the victim's family members spoke, Gamet rolled her eyes, smirked, and mouthed words. However, Judge John McBain would not tolerate her behavior.
And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
But that didn't end it. Camille Gamet's nonchalant attitude only escalated as she addressed the court.
The way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
With Gamet showing no remorse, the judge had some final words.
You stab, you stab, you stab, you stab until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
In the end, Gamet was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Next, we head to family court in Putnam County, West Virginia, for a divorce hearing. The parties are Arthur Haig, a church pastor, and his estranged wife, Lillian. The judge is William Watkins III. At issue is Haig's refusal to sign a deed, which would allow his wife to sell their home. But before things get started, Judge Watkins has a stern warning for Haig.
Mr. Haig, if you say one word out of turn, you're going to jail. Do you understand me? Yes or no?
Judge Watkins is angry with Haig because he believes the pastor revealed personal information about him through the media.
After we closed here, you went out there and talked to a reporter. This morning, I now see an article with a picture of my home. My home is right next to you. My wife is disabled. She's there alone. And you disgusting piece of... I'm holding you personally responsible for anything that happens at my house. I promise you that if I so much as see somebody blanketing my home, my wife, my family, you and me are going to have a problem.
Haig's name was not mentioned in the article, which was about Judge Watson's standing in a local homeowners association. But that doesn't stop him from continuing his attack.
It's disgraceful. Well, buddy, it's personal. And I promise you, you will not hear the end of it from me. You know, when you threaten my family, I will personally see to it that you never see a free day of your life. You understand that? You're going to jail. I swear to God.
Watkins eventually calms down and tries to get back on track.
You swear testimony back gives you the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, self to God. Yes. Miss Wallace, what's the nature of your motion?
Yep. The closing attorney is requiring his signature.
All right, Mr. Haig, what's your response?
My response is I cannot sign this because it's against my conviction.
Watkins rules against Haig and says he must sign the deed and pay a third party to expedite the process.
I'm going to direct that Mr. Haig pay him the sum of $500 for his services no later than Friday.
I'll sign it. I don't have that kind of money.
I don't care. You'll find it. It's a damn lie, and you know it's a damn lie.
I cannot.
I'm about to shut up. I didn't tell you to talk. Did I tell you to talk? What did I tell you right at the beginning of the hearing? Are you deaf? Huh?
The judge ultimately rules in favor of Lillian Haig and orders the pastor to pay a number of expenses once the house is sold.
Shut up. I didn't ask you to speak.
But Haig has his own response when he files a complaint against Watkins with the Judicial Investigation Commission. Judge Watkins admits to overreacting and recuses himself from the case. But it doesn't end there. It's later determined that Judge Watkins has a history of berating litigants and attorneys.
I don't travel.
Ma'am, I didn't ask you for a speech. I'm not.
Well, I'm not. You know, you say
Hush.
that.
What, you think this is funny? You want
No,
to go to jail
I don't,
now?
Sir, I don't.
Then
I
shut
don't
up.
think it's...
Take his ass into custody. I'm tired of it.
Watkins' case makes it to the West Virginia Court of Appeals, where he's censured for 24 violations, including his offensive language and failing to complete required tasks, like entering protective orders into the state's registry. Watkins is suspended without pay for the remaining 4 years of his term. Next, we head to Albany, New York for a sentencing hearing. 20-year-old Alvin Foy III has been convicted of second-degree murder, attempted murder, and weapons charges. 2 years earlier, police say, Foy and 20-year-old Jameer Manning fired 31 shots into a crowd on Essex Street in downtown Albany. While their alleged target, a man they'd had a dispute with earlier, was hit in the shoulder, one of the stray bullets struck 18-year-old China Forney in the back. The high school senior was taken to a nearby hospital, but died from her injuries. The other victim was treated and released. Foy and Manning, who both knew China, fled the scene, but when police connected them to the vehicle from which the shots were fired, both men were arrested. Manning pled guilty to murder and was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. Foy pled not guilty and decided to go to trial. When both sides came to rest, the jury returned with a verdict of guilty. Today, the defendant appears before Judge Roger McDonough to hear his sentence, which could range from 15 to 25 years in prison. But first, as Foy flashes a smile, China's sister, who appears off camera, delivers a victim impact statement.
Alvin Foy on May 3rd, 2021, you are your co-defendant.
When Foy's smile turns into laughter, Judge McDonough steps in.
Excuse me, sir. Let the record reflect that the defendant is laughing during the victim impact statement. Go ahead, and I apologize.
China was just 3 weeks away from walking across the stage to graduate high school and took that opportunity away from her.
Despite the judge's comment, Foy continues to make faces.
You came and ate dinner with us, you went out with us multiple times. So we would expect it better from you. And I just want you to know, like, When you get back to your cell, we want you to think like a me. You call me and my family and friends.
When she's finished, Judge McDonough gives Foy an opportunity to speak.
You want to address the court, Mr. Foy?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
6 other witnesses said I wasn't there. You have 2 females said I was there that was on a FaceTime call.
Sir, we're not trying the case. The case has been tried. The jury was convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. Sir, you can't talk at the same time as I talk because the stenographer is going to take down my words. If you want your words recorded, you can't try to talk over me. The jury's already decided that issue, sir. Anything else you want to say to the court, sir?
Yeah. You're a biased judge and I can't wait to appeal to see my case. I'm innocent.
Is that why you were laughing throughout the statements by the sister of... Is that why you were laughing, sir?
She was laughing at me.
Anything else, sir?
Yes.
Go ahead, finish.
I'm innocent.
You've said that already. Anything else?
I'm innocent.
Before imposing sentence, the judge has a few final words for the defendant.
The defendant stands before this court professing his innocence, and regardless of whether you admit to brutally murdering her, you wouldn't sit at sentencing and laugh about it. That's, sir, your time to speak has ended. It's now the court's time to speak. If you can't conduct yourself appropriately, we'll send you back into the jail and I'll sentence you without you here. Here's the bottom line, sir. Anyone with a shred of human decency would not sit in the courtroom and laugh at the sentencing. One more time, Mr. Mills, let your client know I'm about to send him back into the holding cells. Any individual with a shred of human decency would not laugh, regardless of whether he wanted to assert his innocence or not. He would not laugh and make a joke and slouch in the chair and act like this is a bus stop or a bodega or a park bench.
I was wrongfully convicted.
Take the defendant back into the courtroom. Throw back into the holding cells. Pull his pants up while you're doing it, please. So the courtroom doesn't have to observe that. She will sentence the defendant in his absence, because he obviously has shown that he cannot conduct himself appropriately.
With Foy no longer in the courtroom, Judge McDonough sentences him to 25 years to life in prison. Foy won't be eligible for parole until 2046, when he'd be 44 years old.
You should think that all the days that you're in there, you should think about the things that you did and the pain that you caused us.
Every night when we go to sleep, we think about my niece. I hope he carried that same pain. Every single day of his 20 years to life, he should think about my niece.
Next, we take you to a hearing inside the Owsley County Courthouse in Boonville, Kentucky, where the judge sent everyone in the courtroom to spend 30 days in jail. Let's find out why.
So everybody gets 30 days of contempt. You want me to bring her back? What you all thought this was, but this isn't going to happen in my courtroom.
The defendant is Shane Bird, who's charged with driving under the influence. Presiding judge is William Bo Leach.
One call on docket. The attorney to review charge.
Bird's hearing just ended, and the defendant, who's off camera, has agreed to pay a restitution fine of $500 to a woman he injured while driving under the influence. The issue seems settled, but not so fast. The blonde woman sitting in the back of the courtroom is Ingrid Bird, the defendant's wife, and sitting in the row directly in front of her is the victim's mother, Peggy Gabbard. Judge Leach is ready to begin the next case when suddenly this happened. Moments earlier, the gallery seemed calm.
Call on docket.
Then, things quickly turned ugly.
Seatbelt. All right.
It's not clear who took the first swing, but that woman on the left with the brown hair is Gabbard, the victim's mother, and she lands a solid right. The unidentified woman in the stripes appears to step in on behalf of the defendant's wife.
Let her go!
The man approaching the fight in the orange jumpsuit is Shane Bird, the defendant. After a few minutes, his wife, Ingrid Bird, is removed from the scene and orders restored. But the incident is far from over. as Judge Leach is not happy.
And everybody that was in there, the lady with the red purse, you need to go to the jury box. Who else was involved in that fight?
I ain't got no red.
All right.
The judge is not allowing any of the participants to leave.
Red purse, I told you to come up here. Put him right there. Put him in that front row. Who else was in that? Where's my law enforcement on that?
And don't think the judge has forgotten about the defendant.
Fellow over here that got up out of the jury box. All right, Shane Bird. And who else is there? Y'all got names on everybody that was in that? You got up out of the jury box, and I told you not to when you were running over there saying that was your wife. So, everybody that was in that's getting 30 days in jail on contempt. Lady back there.
The judge has ordered everyone involved to spend 30 days in jail.
Fool in my courtroom, you're all going to have something else coming. So, everybody gets 30 days for contempt.
You want me to bring her back?
What you all thought this was, but this isn't going to happen in my courtroom. Fight in a court of law. You are out of your minds. You are out of your mind if you think you're going to try to stop anything in court. We got bailiffs in here to do it. And you're sitting in there in jail right now. I just probated not to stop a fight while you're in handcuffs. This is insane.
The incident ends with at least 4 people being charged with contempt, including the victim's mother, Peggy Gabbard, the defendant, Shane Bird, the woman in the striped shirt, and Shane Bird's wife, Ingrid. She was also hit with an additional charge of assault. Judge Leach gets back to work, but not before sending a final warning.
Breaks out anything today, you're going to get 6 months in jail on contempt. And if you all want to try me, you wait and see if you don't get 6 months in jail.
Next, we go to the Clark County Superior Court in Vancouver, Washington, for the sentencing of Matthew Hastings. He's been convicted of 4 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of second-degree assault. Hastings shot and seriously wounded Corporal Chris LeBlanc during a 20-hour standoff with Vancouver police. The trial judge is John Woolley, and the maximum sentence is 120 years behind bars. At first, things appear to be civil.
Mr. Hastings, is there anything you wish to say, sir?
No, Your Honor.
But then, things quickly take a turn.
Mr. Hastings, did you graduate from high school, sir?
No.
Okay, let me give you a little thumbnail sketch of the American system of government. Mr. Hastings, don't press your luck with me, son. Don't press your luck with me.
Or what? You gonna sentence me? Is that what you gonna do?
You know what, Mr. Hastings? I am.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
I don't really want to care why. Just get on with
You shut your damn mouth, sir.
Oh, I'm not gonna shut my mouth.
Next time, I'm gonna have you gagged.
You're gonna be gagged, huh?
You're right, I am.
Okay. Have me gagged.
Mr. Hastings, based upon your conduct in this court, your conduct in the community, I am accepting the state's recommendation.
Good. Thank you. Take another.
Mr. Hastings is in contempt of court at this point, Counselor. May I see the attorneys back in chambers for a moment, please?
Perhaps with the judge out of the room, Hastings would cool off a bit. But he's not through, because he's just noticed a few of his arresting officers in the back of the courtroom. Now they're in Hastings' crosshairs.
You're a failure. And your little partner allegedly got shot.
A court officer steps over in case things escalate.
Oh, you wanted to convict me. Bitch. You don't want me out there on the streets.
Stay seated.
After a few minutes, Judge Woolley returns to the courtroom.
For the record, Mr. Hastings, I see no reason not to stick with the decision I made.
Absolutely. I'm thankful for that, Your Honor. That's great.
You're wasting your time with me now, Mr. Hastings. I know how to handle a guy like you. The only thing I can say to you on behalf of all the citizens of this community, bye-bye.
Thank you. That's great. Is that it? 2 words? Bye-bye?
Try to push my button, son? These police officers have been told by me that they're not to react.
Oh, really?
Mr. Buckley, you
want me to make these police react? Is that what you're saying?
Of course, Your Honor.
Is that what you want?
Put Mr. Hastings back in his chair until we are concluded.
Or?
Hold on.
Don't call my bluff.
You're really helping your case in front of the Court of Appeals. They're going to see this entire record, sir.
Hey, they're going to see your entire record, too. They're going to see how you're running your mouth, Your Honor. Bye-bye. We know how to handle kids like you, son. Okay. Yeah, they're going to see that, too. Remember, you're on record just like me. Pops.
And believe it or not, on this issue, Hastings was right. After this incident, and a few others like it, Judge Woolley was reprimanded for his conduct by a state commission. But that didn't change Hastings' fate. He's still got the maximum sentence, and he's currently serving 120 years in a state prison. This is Shanda Vander Ark. She was found guilty of open murder and first-degree child abuse for the death of her 15-year-old son, Timothy Ferguson. Back in July 2022, police responded to the family home in Norton Shores and found Timothy dead. Officers said Timothy was emaciated and weighed only 69 pounds. His body also showed signs of hypothermia. Timothy had autism and was speech and motor impaired. Yet Vander Ark and her older son, Paul Ferguson, punished Timothy by feeding him hot sauce, putting him in ice baths for hours, depriving him of sleep, and locking the refrigerator and food cabinets. When shown photos of her emaciated, disabled son, who she starved and murdered, this was Vander Ark's reaction.
You look like that when you in the bathtub?
I'm sorry.
Muskegon County Prosecutor DJ Hilson called the situation the most disturbing case he has seen in his career. Two of Vander Ark's children spoke at the sentencing.
I want the woman who killed my little brother to face the highest punishment possible. I want her detained for the rest of her life so she can't hurt anyone else.
So now I turn to the justice system in hopes that in addition to serving the maximum penalty, that there will be no appeals or second chances. If I can't have my brother back, she shouldn't have her freedom back.
Judge Matthew Castle then spoke directly to Vander Ark before he read her sentence.
I'm not going to let you hide in the darkness anymore. People know what you are now. They know what you did. You're not able to hide in the darkness anymore. Timothy won. And he won because we know what you did to him now. It's not hidden anymore. We know who you are. That's the way that I'm going to honor him. It's a sentence of the court. First says to count 2, child abuse in the first degree. Court sentences you 50 years to 100 years in prison. As to count 1, felony murder. It's a sentence of the court. You serve a term within the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your natural life without parole.
This is clearly the most shocking news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
For 20 years, this Karen told this man he was the father of her son.
You say you have proof that Mr. Manser is Dylan's father to finally stop him running from his responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Elizabeth Sayre of Southwest Missouri. She told Bill Manser he was the father to her child.
I didn't find out anything about the child until I was served with papers in 1995.
Neither Manser nor Sayre disputes that in Southwest Missouri in 1992, they had some kind of sexual relationship.
But as far as intimacy, we was together one time, and I hate to be crude, but it was a one-night stand.
I don't care what your version was. I was far from a one-night stand.
Living across the street from each other?
Far from a one-night stand.
Regardless, she gave birth to a son, Dylan, in January 1993. A couple years later, Sayre ordered a paternity test. The test concluded that there was a 99.6% probability that Manser had fathered the boy. Manser moved to Lake County, Florida, and he was named the father because he missed a court date.
And so you showed up for court, and what happened?
I wasn't able to show up for court. I was completely on the other side of the state. I was indigent. I was living at my mom's, didn't have a job at the time. So I didn't show up for court, and I was named the natural father by default.
And then what happened?
He ended up paying more than $30,000 in child support to Sayre and spent 5 years in prison after failing to pay on time.
And then when I went to prison for 5 years, when I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost my job.
Only because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they do. And I actually asked my public defender, where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine. He said that they obtained my DNA through a sample that was already on file. That's what she's claimed this whole time.
For a daughter you didn't raise too.
So, that's right. I'm not here to win any Father of the Year awards, believe me.
You wouldn't get it.
So, but I'm here to say that, you know, in today's society, I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to be sentenced to 5 years in prison with rapists and murderers and child molesters for missing a court date. Because that's basically what happened. I missed a court date.
You missed being a father.
Sayre herself had good reason to believe the narrative. A paternity test she'd ordered from a lab concluded with near certainty that Manser was her baby daddy.
We do, however, see a lab record of a collection taken on May the 1st, 1995, which they claim was you. Ms. Sear, I see the laboratory results of the testing with a probability of paternity of 99.67%.
But he was never totally convinced Dylan was his son.
Do you know, man, that he said 99.67 means he still might not be the father when he heard that number?
On August 12, 2013, Manser, Elizabeth Sear, and her 20-year-old son, Dylan, submitted to new DNA tests at a California lab frequently used by the paternity court show. They appeared on the show on August 29th and got a rather different result.
I think it's time for the results.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Jerome, lab, because of the sensitivity of this issue, ran 2 tests. The results are as follows. In the case of Manser versus Sear, as it pertains to 20-year-old Dylan Sear, Mr. Manser, you are not
God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison.
This is clearly the most shocking news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
But the most shocking moment is yet to come. Listen to what this Karen is about to say.
Do you want to find out who your father is?
Of course.
Miss Sear, you know who his father is.
Yes, I talk to him still. Yes, I talk to him still.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.